called Tommy Robinson as some kind of Nelson Mandela figure, and so on. Now, look, I've dissolved Parliament, which you can't actually. Our Prime Minister, he's been basically taking on the country. And
agree with Trump.
Let me segue just
American.
Okay, let me bring in.
And one of my biggest angry with Trump is on that.
Let me.
Wait, did we watch this section? The entire section?
Apparently, from what I've read, and they're able to access and get what they want, which is no ability to have privacy laws to protect consumers, no ability to have new antitrust laws for Amazon and Netflix, and they're fighting with, and they're also, they flood the zone with
Green America. I think we should debate in good art.
He's been basically taking on the country in spectacular fashion, calling for our Prime Minister to be in prison, calling for the King to dissolve Parliament, which he can't actually do, backing this thug who's in prison called Tommy Robinson as some kind of Nelson Mandela figure, and so on. Now, look, I, for what it's worth, I think Elon is a genius, albeit like all geniuses, he's flawed. And one of his flaws is he's got this tremendously powerful...
Look at how awkward Timmy is when he can't dictate the flow of the conversation, right? Because on his show, he likes to ambush you with topics that he's like super well read on or has memorized every autistic little incorrect misinformation factoid on. But like when Piers has control of the conversation, Timmy has to be really careful how he enters because he's always like 2 questions away from complete and utter collapse because he really has no idea what the he's talking about beyond whatever script he's sent by Natasha.
Tool now, which is his 200 million followers on his own platform. And whilst I like the fact he's let everyone come back on to X, I think that's definitely balanced things up. And I think he is genuine about his desire to want free speech to return. I am concerned that he doesn't quite understand, or maybe he does but doesn't care, just how powerful his battering ram is when he tweets things like free Tommy Robinson, who is, to most people in my country, an extremely insidious individual who should absolutely not be freed right now.
Why should Tommy not be free?
Well, because he's not the Nelson Mandela freedom fighter that most people in America seem to think he is. He's a convicted football hooligan who beat up a policeman and got convicted of that. He was convicted of...
I think that this is a debate tactic. I think Tim knows a little bit about this. We'll see how this argument goes. I think Tim knows a little bit about this, and when he asks Piers, why shouldn't he be free? Tim is trying to see what Piers knows about it so he can probe to do this like factoid abuse. This is always the manipulator, the abuser's tactic too. And interpersonally, people do this, is when somebody's trying to manipulate you or mind fuck you or gaslight you, they're going to ask you questions about a thing. If you don't know every single particular detail, they're going to find the one thing that you don't know, and they're going to blow that little hole wide open so that you can't have any grounding on the topic, basically. But we'll see how this conversation goes. Maybe not. Who knows?
Passport fraud, trying to get into America, convicted of mortgage fraud, convicted of 2 contempts of court where he nearly wrecked trials involving the rape gang suspects when they were on trial, nearly literally avoiding justice for the girls in those cases. He's now in prison, nothing to do with the rape gang scandal, but entirely to do with his defamatory conduct towards a 15-year-old Syrian.
Destiny never does this. Happy said in YouTube chat, find me a link of me doing it, you degenerate fuck. Not only do I not do that, I'll usually even grant people. I'll say something like, okay, well, maybe if this isn't the case here, then, you know, like we could move on from here. We could assume this, or I give people tons of leeway and charitability in my conversation. I never expect anybody to have a link handy or to know exactly every single particular thing.
Syrian refugee boy, who he first of all defamed, trying to make him the villain of a video where he'd been bullied. This ended up with the Syrian refugee boy suing him.
Jesus. Okay, so Piers knows lots of stuff. So my prediction is Tim is just going to try to backtrack into some vague, like, free speech position where it's just like some broad philosophical bullshit, and he's not going to fight on any of the facts. But let's find out.
£100,000 in damages and nearly £1 million in costs, and the judge telling Robinson, do not repeat these lies, and then he repeats all the lies in a movie that he produces as a so-called journalist, and he goes to prison for contempt of court, which he knows he's committing. So on every level, you can agree with his message about the rape gang scandal, where he's been right, like a lot of people, but you can also think he's about the most despicable messenger imaginable.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how is the play?
This is the challenge.
Right.
We don't believe you because for decades...
You don't believe me? What have I said that's wrong?
Oh, now Piers has stepped into the ring. Who does know things? Uh-oh.
They're facts, Piers.
Hang on, Tim, just to be clear, which part of my rant is untrue?
Tim can't counteract anything what you said, contradict. You probably know 20 billion times more than Tim does. Tim probably is a surface level at best and probably knows all of the defending points for all the weird Nazi shit or whatever Tommy Robinson does all the defense of and the free speech arguments around that, but it's just going to be the broadest, vaguest bullshit. What can we predict Tim's argument? Something along the lines of like, well, we don't trust the charges against him. Everybody says these things, but he's only being charged for it because of political reasons, and the charges and the way he's being held are unfair, and he's been in solitary confinement even though no one's ever done it like this before. It's the worst way in freedom of speech, and it's a political target. Everybody, that's my guess. We'll see what happens.
True.
So let me explain, not that I said you were wrong, but why we don't believe you. Because How long has been going on in the UK? These grooming gangs were being covered up, as the Telegraph reported. It was covered up to present the image of successful multiculturalism, where fathers were being threatened.
So Tommy Robinson is a hero of kind of like these weird, now they're Russian people, they used to be alt-right people, because Tommy Robinson was the one truth sayer about the mass Muslim rape gangs. And so that's the reason why people hate him politically now. This is why they say it's a political argument. Tommy was the only truth sayer, and he's the only one that came up and defended the white man against the evil Muslim rape gangs or whatever. And to be fair, the countries is happening and fumbled the messaging on this really hard for stupid reasons too, because they didn't want to appear racist or something stupid. It seemed like there was legitimately stupid shit going on by the countries involved, but this is why Tommy Robinson is like worshipped by these people.
Threatened with arrest. Then you come to me and you say all these things about Tommy Robinson, and I tell you this, maybe you're right, I have no idea. I'm not from the UK. I'm seeing this story that's been bubbling up for some time now about how your country allowed little girls to have their bodies to be, I can't even describe the things that came out in those transcripts.
It's despicable, yeah.
Even though we're uncensored. No, despicable is an understatement. It was torturous atrocities covered by government. So when I see Elon say something like, this country is, the government of this, covering this up, the police covering this up.
He's right.
I'm sorry. And right. So when I see Tommy Robinson in the United States. He's
deflating this completely. Piers will own this. Piers is not going to defend the Muslim rape gangs. He told you his thing completely clearly. Piers' issue is just that the guy is a really bad spokesperson because he's a neo-Nazi. He is a neo-Nazi. Tim is trying to do the virtue signal like he tried it when he was screaming at Luke or whatever. But Piers he's not an SJW.
And again, I'm not telling you wrong. I'm saying we don't believe that the attacks against Tommy are all entirely based on he's a bad guy who did bad things. You may be right. I don't know. I'm not from your country. What I see.
Oh, and then so Tim's going to walk away factually from everything. How far alt-right wing Bonger, I don't know if in Bonger you have right-wing people. How fine are they with Russia expanding? I'm not sure, but my guess is if you're a Bonger, you probably don't care as much. Probably the further east you are, the more kind of nervous you are about it. But for Bongers, I don't know how much, I'm sure in general they're not okay with it, but they probably don't think about it as much as people further east, I guess. But
see as your country covered this up. The things that were done to these little girls, I'm going to say it. They put a pump in the anus of a 12-year-old girl to expand it so multiple men could rape her, and your country covered that.
He's just so much virtue signaling. It's so much virtue signaling.
And then told me Tommy was the bad guy. And so I'm just like, look, man, I don't know. But when I heard that, I said the U.S. should be sanctioning the UK or doing whatever they can to remove all of those from power. I think they deserve prison for covering this up.
Yeah, but I think if you don't mind me saying, I think you're conflating two things, and that's my point. I totally agree with everything you've just said.
Good job. You had your moment, dude.
But I also believe that there is a completely weird misunderstanding of who Tommy Robinson is and what he represents in America, because he's managed to position himself very cleverly as this kind of freedom fighter who's only in prison because he blew the whistle on all this stuff, so they've silenced him by putting him in prison. None of that is true.
Except you did silence everyone else, and I should say you, sorry, I apologize for that, but your government was actively covering this up. So it creates a plausible scenario when Tommy Robinson is locked up over and over again, and people are like, here's a guy calling out the grooming gangs, the government's actively covering up, and now they're...
And the issue again for Tim, and this is one of the reasons why these people are evil at best and foreign actors at worst, is everything Tim is saying is true from the perspective of an uneducated midwit, right? Like, well, this guy was saying something and it seems like he whistleblown something that was contrary to the government. It seems like he actually was right on this one thing. Maybe he's right on everything. That's where you, a journalist, should step in and say like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to dig a little bit more, and I'm not going to give the opinion that you would expect from a 3-year-old, who played peekaboo once with his parents and realized his parents didn't actually disappear into oblivion when their face hid behind their hands, so now I'm not going to trust him on anything, right? And let's actually investigate. Let's be a journalist and do real investigative work like Tim used to do before he was getting paid fat stacks of cash from the Kremlin to lie about everything. But
imprisoning him. By all means, I don't know about his trials or what happens.
All I would ask him, you're a smart guy. All I would ask is, I just think it would be reasonable for me
to like have an analysis of the situation. You don't have to have like the crazy reaction, like, you mean him what? So every single thing he says is probably right. You can act, like you're older than 12 years old.
Over here in the UK to say to all my American friends, just go and look at his criminal record, see what he was actually convicted of and why, and draw your own conclusions. And then I would say, then I would say, go and look at the judge's verdict in the defamation case, where you'll see a very, well, it's actually worth 20 minutes of your time. Because what you'll understand.
This is what Elon Musk wants you all to do. I'm sorry, Tim. Like, don't let the facts get in the way of a good story as an expression of Asian journalism.
Oh, yep, and she's right. Oh, she's right. Tim doesn't care about the facts. It's all about narratives. Current administration's bad. Elon Musk has these same marching orders, by the way, right? That's why he's calling for the, Trudeau to step down. He's calling for the UK government to step down. And he's calling for all, 100%. These are the marching orders. All of the incumbents, all of these vaguely liberal, whatever, left-leaning people, they're all bad. They all need to go. We need more fascists, more authoritarians, because I can exert influence and control over them easier than a democratically responsible person, right? Because they answer to me and not their constituents.
They pulled 34 charges with beyond
there is no evidence. There is no evidence that they resisted prosecutions out of political correctness. The person who was the actual chief prosecutor has supported. No, you're misreading. Well, whatever, Tim.
He's not miss anything. He just doesn't know. Well, no, he is misrepresenting. I'm so sorry. You're right. I assumed ignorance. She's assuming malice, or her words were implying malice, but he is being malicious. You're right.
Actually, to be fair, Cara, to be fair on that point, there is a growing body of thought across.
How hilarious that on this panel of insanely emotionally compromised childish men, it's our brave, powerful woman here who has the facts on her side, by the way.
Across the board, actually, that political correctness did contaminate the local council. Hang on. Let me finish your point. Let me finish. That it did contaminate the thinking of local councillors, of the police, who clearly were corrupt in some cases, of senior government people as well. That there was a general fear that enveloped them all that they couldn't take the action they felt they should take because the repercussions would be they would be branded a bunch of racists.
In the Times investigation by Andrew Norfolk, which I think was a terrific investigation, they counted 14 grooming gang prosecutions. In 2022, there were 35 grooming-related convictions in Starmer's last 3 years. This is Elon doing his Elon thing, which is exactly what he does. He takes a small bit of possible problem and mistakes and books it out, and then Tim gets a hold of it and decides.
And then it's not just a problem or mistake anymore. Now it's an intentional top-down conspiracy to undermine the white whatever. And
conflates 3 or 4 different things together so that possibly you could. And there was a lake, and it's the same thing that the Loch Ness monster.
It's the same. My own age. I don't get my news from Elon Musk.
True. Him and Elon both get it from the Kremlin.
At that, but it's just, this is an attempt by him. I bet, my guess, I always look for whatever the business grift happens to be. They probably don't much like the Online Safety Act there at Twitter. They probably, that you have in Britain, which has controversies, believe me. We have the same issue at COSA here in the United States. Lots of things you can debate back and forth over how it should be done, because it's a very difficult issue around kids' online safety. And the fact of the matter is, in the United States, we protect kids offline more than we protect them online, which is really quite something. It's an astonishing situation. We overprotect them offline and underprotect them online. I've done a series of really important interviews with people at Character AI and how kids are used. I just had the Yonder CEO, where you put phones away and the deleterious effects of that. But what's happening with Elon is he has gotten a taste of power, and he says, this seems to work here, and I'm going to create all kinds of business. Now, Americans attempting to copy paste their talking points onto the UK when it makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, but bongers do it too. When you fucking retards all saw like Trump as some huge fucking ally when you guys wanted to Brexit or whatever. I think that Brexit and the Trump shit were pretty closely aligned, joined at the fucking hip for a while. It's happening where like this world culture, these world internet cultures are trying to say everybody's problem is the same problem and everybody's got the same issues and everybody's got. He's not a British citizen. It's none of his business. It's none of his fucking business, first of all. He wants political power and the ability to turn into, which I said right when he bought Twitter, a modern day Rupert Murdoch is what he's going for. He wants media power.
Except worse than Murdoch, because I think that Elon is more blatant than Murdoch was.
Power and control for his own self-interest and his own financial interest and his own ability to influence things. If you think, literally, it makes me laugh when you think about the idea of, first of all, they all act like victims. Elon's always on some victim thing that someone's out to get him.
True. They're always the victim while being in the position of power every single time. The world's richest man is the victim, right? Always. True.
When the world's richest people whine and moan about how they're victims, how they're misunderstood, how they don't have the thing, when they have got the power and the influence and the money to over do everything in their own business self-interest.
Where they're the president. How often are we going to hear about the victims of Elon Musk and Donald Trump in his own administration, where he's the most powerful man in the world, the president of the United States, with the richest man in the world? How much are we going to hear how victimized they are?
Something has gone desperately wrong with what we are. We have an idolatry of innovators that has become undeserved for these people. It's all about their money. It is all about their money. Every single thing leads to some financial.
Okay, Dean, you respond, then I'll come to Dave after you.
Right. Quick thing, Piers. First of all, today you called Elon Musk a genius. Yep. Yesterday I watched his show. You called him a genius numerous times. He's not a genius. Piers, you are a genius.
He is a genius.
I say that he's not a genius. Look, it's my first time on the show. I'm just kissing up to you. I do think you're a genius in certain ways. You've had success on different platforms. Elon Musk, my friend, is a cancer to democracy. That's what he is. His goal, and I challenge everyone watching, Google Elon Musk and criticism of China. And what you'll find is
Elon Musk being a cancer to democracy is the easiest position in the world to believe. If you're a libertarian or if you're whatever the fuck Tim Pool was, like everybody would have agreed with this. All of the people on here, or I can't speak for these actually, but these two would have agreed with that 10 years ago, 100%. Yeah, the richest man in the world who has the ear of the U.S. president, who owns one of the largest news social media companies in the United States and the world. Yeah, of course, that's not good. But
article after article about, well, Elon Musk refuses to criticize the Chinese leadership. Even Steve Bannon, the philosopher king of MAGA, just said Elon Musk's paymaster is China. Vivek Ramaswamy said in 2023 that Elon Musk is a circus monkey. That's his word, a circus monkey for China. You just have Elon Musk block a budget deal according to Democrats in Congress because they had a provision banning investments in China. And Elon Musk wants to build a battery factory and AI storage plant there. Elon Musk's biggest factory outside of the U.S. is in Shanghai. 50% of his cars come from China. This man's all about the money. That's why Piers goes after Keir Starmer and Nigel Farage. I would say this though. In response to that, I would say you can be
you can be all about the money, but you can also come from inherently a good place, right, in your heart. And the reason I say that is I look at what he's. Well, let me just present the argument. I think that what he's done with Starlink, what he's done with Neuralink, what he's done with Tesla, what he's done with all these things, what really is motivating him? Yes, to make.
Well, I mean, it's also all of these things are also very conveniently personally enriching him, and he's the richest man in the world, right?
Money, but also actually to save the planet. You could argue from itself. I mean, I sat with him for a couple of hours in the summer, listening to him talking about why we have to colonize Mars and humanoid robots or something. And of course, part of it is he's going to make himself even richer. He admitted that. But also, I just got a feeling of a guy who genuinely thinks the planet is eating itself alive, and people like him have to save it. Now, you might not agree with it.
No, Piers, there's one thing. Let me tell you, I think that's true. He does have those interests, and I've probably done more interviews with him than anyone else, long form. Not anymore, we don't speak. But one of the things that has occurred to me over the many years is he doesn't want to just save humanity. He thinks he is the savior of humanity.
Yes.
In one interview that we did when Tesla was on the ropes and was actually getting money from the federal government, he said, if Tesla doesn't survive, humanity is doomed. And I thought that was unusual and disturbing thing to say.
Well, he said if Trump didn't win, I think humanity was doomed.
Yes, he's very dramatic. He's a bit of a drama queen in many ways.
Yeah.
I think he thinks, and one time we did an interview, he thought we all live in a simulation, which I thought was interesting.
Which, by the way, we might. How do you know we don't?
Well, it feels like it every day. It feels like
Cara,
it every
you and I have no idea if we're even really here.
Some teenager of the future is fucking with all of us. I get it. I get the whole idea. And they're just playing a video game now. Amazon funds Melania's movie. Now this. You can just see them just doing things like this.
All right. I want to bring in Dave because he's very patient.
But let me say, I think he thinks he's ready. He's a big video game proponent. He's very good at video games, by the way. That is one thing I think he's quite good at. He is.
Fuck, even she bought the video game misinformation. He's never been good at video games. That's not true at any video game ever.
He thinks he's Ready Player One, and the rest of us are NPCs. Is that right? And non-player, whatever they characters. We are all NPCs in the world of Elon Musk in his brain in some fashion. So that's.
He actually said. In fact, let me get the exact wording of this because he posted to me yesterday. Piers' brain hasn't received its software update yet.
Well, my heart is seething with hate, so that's better. That's better, I guess.
Dave Smith, Elon Musk, a force for good or bad or a bit of both?
Well, I'm sure he's a bit of both, like everyone else. I try not to get into this like game of psychoanalyzing what people's motives are. I'm sure I'm guilty of it at times too.
Wait. Didn't we just hear in the whole beginning of this him rejecting the idea that the government or Facebook ever made mistakes? Hold on. I'm so sorry. Wait. Hold on. I'm so sorry. We're at 3904. Hold on. I am so sorry. Hold on. Let me do a rewind on this.
Psychoanalyzing.
Or bad or a bit of both?
Well, I'm sure he's a bit of both, like everyone else. I try not to get into this like game of psychoanalyzing what people's motives are. I'm sure I'm guilty of it at times too. Look, obviously.
What did he say earlier where he was like, you think that it's just a coincidence that the FBI and all of the, what are the words that I'm looking for? It was in this video. It was 30 minutes ago.
Intelligence officers signing on to this letter saying that this is the Russian disinformation, and he admitted to censoring people for that. This is like blatant election interference by the FBI and one of the biggest tech companies out there. I mean, I would think if you're going to reverse that, it would also come along with like an apology and some admission of what you were a part of. Point in American history.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was in New York, most blatant attack on free speech I've ever seen.
But it's not free speech. It's not a government.
I certainly was not. Listen, I was really since Donald Trump won control. But is the claim here that those intelligence officers made a mistake and really?
Here we go. That's so funny. He's not even disagreeing on the facts. He's disagreeing on the psychoanalysis. This is a state of mind disagreement. This is an intentionality state of mind disagreement. Here we go.
Information problem under control. But is the claim here that those intelligence officers made a mistake and really thought this was Russian disinformation?
Here's what I'm saying,
and then realized it was Hunter Biden's laptop?
Our government.
Psychoanalyzing what? I try not to get into this like game of psychoanalyzing what.
Because when it's Elon Musk, we can't possibly psychoanalyze. Remember the game plan. As long as you remember the strategy book, you know what everything's going to be, okay? It's not that Russia's good. It's not that Elon is good. It's not that Trump is good. We don't ever, ever, ever defend them. We don't need to defend them. We just say they're funny and they're epic and they all make mistakes. But when you're asked to criticize them, it's always everybody's bad. Okay? I'm not saying they're the best. Yeah, everybody's got issues. So everybody's bad. And then refocus on who's really bad, which is the left, the Democrats, the whoever. It's always refocus. It's all. Don't defend the side that you're always on. Basically, you're giving defense to. Don't ever outwardly defend them. Just say everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has these issues, and then America bad.
People's motives are. I'm sure I'm guilty of it at times too. Look, obviously there are conflicts of interests, and there are, Elon Musk is going to have his own incentives, which is true for every rich, powerful, donor. It's the way the American political system is set up, whether or anyone on the panel likes it or not.
Yes.
We weren't choosing between no influential donors or Elon Musk. We were choosing between, George Soros and Miriam Adelson. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation. I think that Elon Musk buying Twitter for $44 billion, which certainly it's going to be pretty tough to convince me that that was motivated financially. I don't think that was like the best money-making scheme, but
And George Soros's donations to random fucking shit are the best money-making scheme? Having the ear of the President of the United States wasn't worth the acquisition of Twitter?
I think by buying
He's
Twitter
done very
and by
well
making
with it. He's done very well with it.
Well,
It's
okay,
been a
so
very useful tool.
you're kind of stuck. Okay, well, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place now, because that does seem to make him a genius, which you wanted to deny. But
I tell you, Dave, just on that one point, on the one point about the money.
He is a genius investor.
Well, let me tell you why he's a genius. He bought X, then he went all in
Okay, we made it through that without saying anything mean about our side. Okay, all right, let's go.
on Trump. Trump wins, and just by Trump winning, his stake, Musk's stake in Tesla made him $100 billion, which is more than twice the valuation that he paid for X.
But let me just say,
so that is business genius.
Tesla's car deliveries are down, which is astonishing.
Of course, but again, I would say that's the form of genius. Dave, finish your point.
Others would.
Well, look, I mean, the broader point and the reason why Elon has gained so much hardcore support over the last couple of years
is authentic Americans. It's because he resonates with Americans. Or, if we don't want to say nice things about Elon, blame the left, okay? Which direction are we going to go? Blame the left or glaze Elon?
is just, again, it goes back to the stuff that we were talking about at the beginning. He bought Twitter, and promised to make it a free speech platform. Now, by the way, my biggest criticism of him is that he's fallen short of that goal, and there are still people who are censored. There are still people who are kicked off, and I don't think he's done a great job of making the rules very clear and then applying them equally across the board. But there's just no question that for so many of us, this was the big fear over the last 8 years, was that we could be silenced. We wouldn't be allowed to speak up and tell the truth as we see it anymore. And he protected a lot of us, or at least gave us the feeling that we're much more protected than we were back then. And so that is going to get people like me and Tim, who are people who were, let's just say, we were saying a lot of the things that put you at risk of being censored.
Yeah, and also I would say,
and it's not a small thing.
Yeah, look, I want to get into Greenland in a moment, whether it should be invaded, which is, I can't believe I'm saying that. But before we do that, Tim, I mean, it seemed to me when
look at these disgusting, fucking gross, fucking Russian stooges laughing at how fucking hilarious and epic that was. For all of Tim's energy earlier about the grooming rape gangs and this lady being raped and all that, what does he have to say for all of the bodies buried in Mariupol or Bucha, right? Are the two places with the most civilian graves were being found, or the videos of I think it was Assad soldiers that were shooting people, leading into a ditch and shooting them, and all the other shit that came out, that has come out over, was it Bucha, not Bucha? Where's Tim's energy for any of those people? Oh, he didn't have any. It was the, you just said Ukraine is the enemy of America or whatever. I don't even want to find this.
I believe I'm saying that. But before we do that, Tim, I mean, it seemed to me when they banned Trump from social media, but they still allowed the Ayatollah of Iran and Putin and the head of the Taliban to have accounts, right there was the absurd double standard of what they were doing. And
but Elon does that too. Elon does that
No,
too.
I'm not saying he doesn't do that to a degree.
He forces you to watch him.
Yeah, listen, I'm not saying by any means he's without
stop
blemish.
pretending he doesn't use it.
But nor should we, nor should we pretend that the liberals, when they were in charge of the trade set, weren't doing ridiculous things.
I'm saying the loi c'est moi. He does whatever he feels like, and by the way, he should. He owns it.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend he doesn't. When he's in India, he does a different thing than when he's in Venezuela.
I agree. And
yes, but there's a difference in scale and kind between that.
Because it's him.
Well, hold on. Well, let me finish the sentence. Instead of just cutting me off, that's obviously not what I'm saying, and I'm not friends with Elon Musk. I've never met the guy, and I'm not like saying anything. There is a difference between the fact that yes.
What's he gonna say? There's a difference between the fact that Elon might make mistakes sometimes, but the last evil shit came from our government, maybe.
So you're right. It's not a perfect free speech zone. I just made that same criticism of him. But there's a difference between that and what was done through the COVID years, where people were straight up. I mean, people were censored for telling the truth. They were censored for telling the truth about enormous changes in society.
Under who, by the way? Who was that again? Who was the president for that again? I keep forgetting. We never say his name. It's very weird.
True. I'm afraid. I'm afraid the censorship that was going on was completely outrageous.
But it's a private platform. This is
who was president? Who was president? One of these two. Please bring it up. Who was president? Who's president?
I'm like,
who's administration?
This is not a government entity. It is.
It is
the government was very involved.
But that doesn't mean
the government. What part of the government? Which government? Whose government?
You're immune to criticism. Look, Tim, we've only got a few minutes left. I do want to get into whether America should be invading Greenland.
The chief counsel of Twitter was having regular meetings with the federal government, being advised on what to remove, and both X, at the time Twitter, and Facebook.
That's not what happened. Thank you. God, yes. Just correct. Tim has been fucking handled. She has fucking dog walked him every single time. Little Jakovsky Timothy or whatever the fuck is trying to come out here with it and walk these stupid bullshit points. You're like, no, Tim, you're actually fucking retarded. Tim, we just got your test score back on your IQ test. It just says F for failure. Okay, no, you actually don't know at all what the fuck you're talking about. You just made all of that up. Sorry, dipshit. Sorry.
Back doors, which we got to click and we got to actually load up the login screens for how to do this. And we all got the emails from the Eric Barron.
What the fuck are you? The login screens for the back door and the
lawsuit showing that they were regularly saying, we're flagging this for removal. And everybody knows when the federal government comes to you and says, we're making the suggestion, wink, wink.
Oh, everybody knows. What did he say? Sorry, say that again.
And everybody knows when the federal government comes to you and says, we're making the suggestion, wink, wink, we know it's not. When the federal government comes to you and says, we're making the suggestion, wink, wink, we know it's not.
So what does he have to say about about Trump saying things like, all I can say is that if I'm elected president, we will pursue election fraudsters at levels never seen before, and they will be sent to prison for long periods of time. We already know who you are. Don't do it, Zuckerbucks. Be careful. Or Donald Trump's just the president, so he doesn't count as part of the government.
Okay, Tim, should America, before we run out of time, should America be seizing Greenland and the Panama Canal?
Seizing? I don't understand why.
Why are you guys saying seizing? Trump is clearly joking, and Trump's not going to seize it. He's just like memeing about, but maybe we can like buy it. I think that buying it might be like a really good idea. Maybe purchasing. Hold on, fuck. I'm sorry. Maybe purchasing it can be a good idea.
There's this presumably fake outrage over Donald Trump trying to trade negotiate control of certain regions.
There we go.
I think war is bad. I think
war is bad. Well, at least you took a strong position on it. Thank you so much. My goodness. War is bad.
Territorial gains should be handled through beneficial trade between all parties. If the U.S. government, through Donald Trump, goes to Greenland and offers the people of Greenland a really great deal that improves their lives, I don't see why that's a problem for anybody. Oh. The Panama Canal, I mean, we built it. There's a question about what it's being used for. It's falling into disrepair. I don't like the idea of military force. That's insane. But if Trump goes there and says, look, we're going to offer you X amount of dollars in investment. We're going to grow the region. It's going to be good for you, good for me.
Then
that sounds
great.
Awesome.
Yeah, Dean, I mean, is there any, I mean,
Now, keep in mind, if the federal government even talks to you, there's a threat. But the president of the United States saying he's not ruling out military action against you, that comes by your little canal and is like, whew, sure would be a shame if somebody came by and butt-fucked your country for not handing this over. That's just a free trade negotiation.
I think the problem was Trump didn't rule out military force, which was, I think...
Well, you can't take it off the table. Everything's got to be on the table. Come on. People need to continue to ask Trump more and more extreme questions just to see where he'll draw the line. Donald Trump, are you taking nuclear attacks off the table for negotiations for the Panama Canal and for Greenland? No. Donald Trump, would you take off the table the concept of drilling to the center of the earth to plant nuclear weapons underneath the crust or the mantle or whatever the fuck of Panama and causing the planet to bulge and for Panama to go flying off the planet? Like, it should just be more and more ridiculous questions.
An overreach, to put it mildly. But in terms of, I didn't know much about Greenland and the Panama Canal's history. When you actually look into it, I saw John Fetterman talking about it. He seems to be a voice of common sense amid all the partisan shrieking these days. But actually, when you look at it, there's a perfectly sound argument why America might want to
conquer it and take it over again. What about Taiwan?
Territorially Greenland, if they were up for it, and the Panama Canal.
Take your
First
word.
of all, with Greenland,
negotiate.
If Trump was looking,
Hang on, Carl. I will come to you.
If Trump was looking for an island to take, I would recommend Aruba. I go there every year. It's really warm. It's nice. I won't have to go through customs. I hate to make it selfish. So that would be start with Aruba, and we'll go from there. Look, with Greenland, the idea of, let's remind Americans, we bought Alaska from Russia in the 1800s, right? If we made a deal with the people of Greenland, because they have the right to choose their way, and they wanted to join America and become a state, and we can work a deal with Denmark, I have an idea, Piers, that can actually work. You make Greenland a state, Puerto Rico, and D.C. a state, all three at the same time. That's a deal. You'll get Democrats on board. We expand the Senate, 2 Democratic senators from each state, probably. Democrats.
Now they're like, actually, I don't know about this now.
That's what control the Senate going forward. I love this idea. Wrap it up. Here's, I think I solved it all.
Yeah.
Dave,
Interestingly, Greenland was for Kamala Harris 83 to 13% or something like that, some number.
But Cara, did you even? Cara, hang on, Cara. Be honest. Did you know, Cara, that Denmark owned Greenland? Because I didn't.
I did not know that. But here's the thing: they're looking for rare earth minerals there. That is, and military installations. That's what's happening. Again, I always go to business. I'm like, what's the actual business? And there are rare earth minerals there that are necessary. As usual, Trump, who likes it feels like a game of Risk for Dummies. Like, I'm going to take it. It's fine to do those deals, Tim. If they want to negotiate them, people should have their own self-interest in mind and stuff like that. But he just likes to throw in these dumb, I could take it militarily if I wanted to. Like, it's so inane to do that. If you want to do a good deal, you don't send your son to take photos with your little jackets with your names on them in green. It's such a circus. And the only thing
it's embarrassing too. It's cringy. This is supposed to be the person that represents our country, and he's acting like an actual fucking cringe lord.
That is the circus about it is, you have a state like California burning, like having very significant wildfires at the time. It makes us look so stupid. Just say we want the rare earth minerals and we want a military base for our subs because we want to counter the Russians. And over in Panama, we need that. It's a critical thing, and we need it in good shape. Just say it instead of.
Well, you have to be fair. He did phrase it collectively.
I like how every time somebody else is talking, Tim never pushes too much on his points because he's like a little kid and he's scared of being.
Except for the military.
Well, yeah, but he did. I think that was the misstep. But he did say that this was all for America's security. He said it would be improved by having both. And there is an argument, indisputably, that he's right.
Absolutely fine. But at the same time, misstep is a nice way of saying, like, why do that? Why create? Why not be very straight? I think politics in the future should be straightforward with the people. We want to do this and put it out as good ideas versus to create everything.
Have you seen Trump?
I think, you know what? I want to bring Dave Smith in. I want to bring Dave in because the truth is that Trump is a bit like his 60% tariffs for China. Nobody actually expects him to level 60% tariffs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now we're going to, Oh, now when Fauci said that one thing, I was able to figure out just from that one statement that he was profiting off the millions of dying people and lied about the masks and et cetera, et cetera. But Trump, I don't take him seriously on anything. Comrade Dave, please tell us, why should we not take Trump seriously on anything ever? And it's all just negotiating tactics. And it's actually kind of funny memes. Please take it away, Dave.
He's taking a battering ram to get what he really wants. And it may be with Greenland. He's just letting it breathe for a bit. That America may invade the place. Of course he's not going to invade Greenland. But he wants people to be a little bit twitchy. Yeah. So when he comes with a nice...
Not just people, but our allies, by the way.
...little deal, they're like, you know what? I prefer that to an invasion.
It's funny how Piers is just laying out the exact fucking thing I just said about the mafia coming by me. Sure would be a shame if somebody fucked your shit up.
I mean, as coarse as it is, I suspect it's just Trump being Trump the negotiator.
Yes.
Well, I think that's right. I think this is Donald Trump's art of the deal philosophy that, like, why would I ever take coercion off the table if I have that in my back pocket? Why would I start the negotiation by taking away my strongest overt play?
Of course.
The other thing is that, and look, like we've lived through this once before, right? Donald Trump was president for 4 years.
And nothing happened. Remember, when he was president for 4 years, okay, so hold on. Let's see if we can get these points. First, let's lie about things, lie about the economy, okay? Donald Trump deficit spent. His economy didn't really outperform Obama as much at all. Didn't really even do that great on the fucking border. Mismanaged COVID like fucking crazy. Didn't manage to get any significant legislation passed beyond like fucking tax cuts. Didn't get any legislation, anything passed on the border. Everything was a failure, and January 6th also, oh my God, this is so important, okay? Hopefully we can hit this. Stick the landing at the end is to say that January 6th was a meme and nothing bad happened, okay? All right, let's go. Please, give me the big play-by-play. I need you to make Trump's disastrous 4 years in office as palatable as possible, please.
Like we've lived through this once before, right? Donald Trump was president for 4 years.
Nothing bad happened.
Donald Trump says wild things that drive the news story, and then everybody's talking about the latest thing we have to say, and it's part of this, whether intentional or unintentional.
Mention how nothing bad happens. Mention how he uses these as negotiating tactics, but didn't negotiate anything. He didn't negotiate anything that he likes or he's proud of. He's happy. Remember, bring up that these were all negotiating tactics, but he didn't actually negotiate anything. Please bring that up.
This is part of how he floods the zone with constantly talking about Donald Trump. But if you're asking me sincerely what I think about this policy, I mean, I guess I wouldn't be much different than the rest of the panel. Negotiations and things like that are fine. The idea of any type of like expansionist military move is insane. And personally, I think
he's not going to do it.
Personally, think we're way too big of a country right now, and the last thing we need to do is be absorbing more territories. I think America has many very, very serious problems, and coming off of 20 years of disastrous terror wars and now the proxy wars in Ukraine and in Gaza, I think the last thing America needs to do right now is say, hey, what else can we take on? So look, America is the global empire. We're the most powerful government in the history of the world. We don't need to seize the Panama Canal in order to make sure that we can do business there. There's lots of other ways that we can.
You know what, though? When I read that Jimmy Carter
okay, sorry, we went with the braver war is bad stance. Okay, respectable.
Gave it away for $1, I think it was, in 1977. I didn't know all that stuff. And actually, when I saw Trump's argument about the Panama Canal, I was like, you know what? He's got a point.
Well, Reagan,
she often does.
Remember, Reagan did that.
But Piers,
Oh no, she hasn't gotten with the program. These guys all hate Reagan now. They all hate Piers might not, but these guys hate Reagan. They hate Bush. They hate everybody. Just the cult leader is the only one they like. So she tried to take a play out of the fighting with the neocons or Tea Party libertarian playbook where you can invoke the names of their sacred daddies. But the new MAGA people, they'll say, oh yeah, fuck Reagan. I don't like it. Dave, I'm surprised that Dave wasn't like fucking chomping at the bit to come out here and shit on Reagan or Timmy.
Well, Dean, I'm afraid we're running out of time. I just wanted to ask Cara one last question, which is this, because I think you're the best person on the panel equipped to answer this. Many people believe it is a matter of when, not if, Elon Musk and Trump have a spectacular falling out. Do you agree? And what timeline are you giving it?
Well, I just interviewed actually Maggie Haberman for an hour on the podcast, and we talked about that. And I definitely have been getting calls from Trump people who are at first were like, Elon's the best. Elon's so fantastic. And they're like, wow, he's strange, Kara. You were right, or he can be erratic and this and that. And they go, what do we do? What suggestions do you have? And I just say, good luck, and I hang up because I'm like, he's yours. He bought you. He broke you. That's how I feel about it. And she thought, and I think she's correct. Trump is irritated by his presence, and it probably will change once he gets to the White House. It's a very different thing. The question whether he gets a West Wing office, whether he gets one of those blue cards that allows you instant access, that's a good question. See what happens there. I think that she feels like Trump is a one-ring circus, and there's only one ringmaster, and he is irritated behind the scenes. And if you bother him in front of the scenes about it, he'll say he loves him. Because why not love the world's richest man who gave you all this money to help you get elected and was critical to that and can be used as a cudgel against other congressmen and everything else. I suspect there will be a breakup, and it will be spectacular, and we will have to endure it, unfortunately. Personally, I would like to get better characters in a new season of something, but probably in the end, it is a one-ring circus. I think Maggie's right, and her reporting is correct that there is irritation. And in the end, Trump will prevail in that regard, although Elon will still be the richest in the world.
I've got to leave
I feel sorry for none of these people. So.
I've got to say, that was a brilliant panel. So thank you all very much indeed. And I wish you all a very happy new year. Thank you very much.
Thanks
Chris.
Bye.
Jesus. Okay. Fuck me. It's part of my 2025, whatever the fuck. I want to do a community survey. I need to figure out where the fuck most of you weirdo fucking people come from. Because I'm curious what the most effective. I know there are things I do that are good. I know there are things I do that are bad, but I don't know how to measure the magnitude of each. So how do I figure out where I'm getting listeners from? I think one of the things that I'm the most curious about is if I'm getting, am I finding people who agree with my stuff, or am I converting people from other content creators? And then if I am converting people from other content creators, how is that happening? So I guess the questions would be something along the lines of, where did you come from? So it would either be converted from another audience / fan base, or I guess discovered without any strong political content consumption. These would be like the diametrically opposed things. Why did just links me things to make me upset? He just keeps linking me shit. Don't do it. I'll say, okay, basics. Okay, we should have, how long have you been a viewer? What is your political leaning? Okay. I'll say acquisition, I guess. I don't know. From if you came from converted from another audience or fan base, then the questions would be, what were your political leanings then? What are they now? Oh, and this is also a really important one, is what changed your mind? Me being mean, or we say aggressive conversations. We'll say aggressive or adversarial. Adversarial. Did I really spell that right the first time? You need to ask when they became a fan. Does that really matter that much? Oh, I said how long have you been a viewer? Ethnicity or country, or don't care? I don't think I care about that as much right now. What's the goal of this survey? I'm curious what my most effective, mode of engagement is, I guess, is what I'm curious about. I think it's like the, where's this going to be posted? Everywhere. So my chats, my Discord, my YouTube, and my my subreddit. Would you consider yourself to the left right of me or perfectly aligned. Something like this. Okay, wait. If you're converted from another audience or fan base, so we have aggressive or adversarial conversations / debates. We have empathetic conversations. Solo content that is aggressive. React. Solo content that is empathetic. Accurately explains the other side. Solo content around research. Oh, actually, wait, I should just break this out into debates, solo content. And then politically unrelated social or solo content, politically unrelated content. I have another box for social issues content, e.g. like red pill shit. No, I think that fits into the other boxes. Exploratory research combos a la Matt Brunig. Oh, converted from another audience. What changed your mind? Debate solo content. What changed your mind? Oh, how about from different political alignments and then what brought you over from similar political alignments? So these would be people like Vosh, Hassan, Pacman. I'll just say it roughly with this. Okay. From different political alignments, I would say obviously like Poole, Rubin, like whatever conservative, who's like far right, Shapiro, good one. Could also look for people that felt politically homeless. That's the, they should say 2. I don't know why this is 3. What other political streamers do you currently watch? What other content do you consume? What other political content do you consume? Content do you consume? Question mark. So one could be school, education for econ, finance, poli-sci, whatever. One could be media. So like CNN, MSNBC, Fox, whatever. One could be alt media, so YouTube channels, etc. Do you read political books? I don't care. I'm not trying to survey. I'm not trying to find out every fucking thing about a person. I'm just trying to figure out what the most effective way for me to do my stuff is. Like, if I do a survey like this and I find out, because in my mind, I know all of these things, there's true aspects to all of these things that people like all of this stuff, but there's like a world where, like, there's a world where I do this survey and like 92% of my audience were convinced because I was shitting on conservatives hard, or like 85% of people were convinced because they just came over from like Vosh or Hassan or Pacman. Like, I don't typically want to convert as much from this group of people. I'm more interested in, well, no, actually, that's not true. I have Pacman listed here with Vosh and Hassan. I'm kind of doing up dirty there, but must be a Google form. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't need, it's not, this isn't going to be like a massive fucking survey. It's just a basic thing. I'm just curious where. All right. I'm going to go eat food with my good friend, Dr. K. Be careful. Don't die. I'll see you tomorrow. I love you.